Should you need a license to have children? I believe you should. The way kids are brought up now, you know, the murders we've seen by 12-year-olds recently, the knife carrying, the knife stabbing, the fact that you've got to teach some children how to brush their teeth and go to the toilet properly. Seems to me that people who are having children now, not all, I'm sure there are some of you who are okay, but you know, the same parents used to go down to the school and say, "Have you told my little Jimmy off? It's not on."
Yeah, oh yeah. That now you used to get a spanking, didn't you? If that you got the teacher, but now
Yeah.
the teacher gets the spanking.
And what about up in Yorkshire, in West Yorkshire, where a teacher was talking about the Quran in some way? You get a load of numpties up outside.
He's still in hiding. He's still in hiding, and that is our government and police have let the country down by not actually.
Our government
sorting
and
that
police
out.
have
He's
let
still
the
in
country
hiding
down.
3 years later.
Yeah. What sort of people are there? So I think we need to be tough on this, because if we're not tough right at the beginning, we're going to get more problems. We've got a woke society that thinks everybody should love everybody else,
which is why this happens.
And kids going mad.
Wokery causes deaths in all kinds of ways.
Yeah, let's talk to Gail Hugman, author of Making the Penny Drop. Gail.
Yes.
What's your suggestion? Hi.
I left teaching in London after 30 years to work on what motivates children and how to get them engaged in their learning. And it has, over the years, I've been doing it for 20 years now, so this is my 50th year. And I think, yes, if we keep the world as it is, then parents do need a lot of guidance. But if we're going to change it, then we need to give children the personal development skills and tools they need to develop into the best of themselves, rather than recruit them into a culture that is on the decline. And that is the stance I've taken, although I listened to your introduction there and thought, how do I argue with that when you look at the world as it is? Now, when a child is looking at the most intelligent, the most creative, the most sensitive form of life, and what it wants is to grow and develop. And I'm looking at it as a natural being, something created by nature to inhabit this world for its own development. I don't know what human purpose is ultimately, but to make human beings all the same and all different is quite a feat.
So what has happened? Well, where has society gone wrong?
I wish I could answer that. We've got two worlds playing at the same time. And this is how I explain it to children. In my last book, Learn Before You're 10, when I'm sitting with a child that is belligerent and not wanting to work, and I said to them, realize that when you're born, you actually have two lives. You have what I call your natural life, which is for the first 10 years, you're a child. For the next 10 years, you're a bit of a nightmare. Then you're a young adult, and then you're a mature person, and then you become a senior, and then you go home. That's the way I explain it to them.
So do you, because we've got a rather bad line, I'm sorry with you, but do you agree with me that maybe before you're allowed to bring another human being onto the planet, you should have to prove that you are capable of doing it?
I do believe that we need to help parents with understanding the responsibility, because you were saying about, James, about to school and saying you did this with little so-and-so. I've met those parents. I've been on the receiving end of parents like that. And I do think that it's not a case of just ignoring what they actually are and what their core needs are. There is a set of skills that I have written about in my latest book, Making the Pennies Drop, which is to guide parents in everyday activities, how to promote those skills in the children. Because I think the high rise in aggression in teenagers comes from the fact that we don't do the first 10, 12 years correctly.
But less 15-year-olds are having kids now, are they? But there still are children having children. Even like 20-year-olds behave like kids. Do you know? And they let the kids do what they want.
There's very little accountability for children.
Yeah.
And
No
they are
discipline at
not
schools.
taught. Yeah, they are not about
Yep.
consequences. And the consequence, if you're not given guidance, the consequence of not giving brains the right kind of guidance is they see a free-for-all. That's the world
They're
we're
seen
in.
as victims and they're
Gail,
mollycoddled.
thank you very much indeed for that. Gail's book is called Making the Pennies Drop. Thank you.
Bring
got any
back
thoughts on
capital
that?
punishment at schools.
Corporal punishment at
And
schools.
that.
How many times
And
do I have
that
to tell you?
as well.
The fact is that I think people... Look, I was a very young parent, and I'm pretty sure if I'd been
I was a
older,
very
I
young child.
I would have done better. No, my kids are fine. Not my son. He's...
His son is old enough to be my dad.
I
That's
am,
how-
actually.
Yeah, you
think
could be
I've
my
got a son.
grandpa.
Yeah, well, my sons are about
James,
your age.
The real James
Yeah.
Wales,
Yeah.
that is.
I try. I
This
know.
is Mike Wales.
I try and tell everybody that my grandchildren are my sons.
I'm
yeah.
Asher.
Right, listen, let's get on with the
Wales.
calls. Thank you very much indeed. Let's go to